Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
It is a damp start to our Labor Day, but a cool down on the way. In the next 7 days, we don't hit the 90-degree mark a single time. I'll show you what's causing that and if this is a sign of a long-term trend coming up.
And last night's storms led to trouble at RDU for holiday weekend travelers. The cancellations, delays, and a look at inches of water pulled outside a terminal. And we're also giving you a look on the roads for anyone traveling to end the summer travel season. We're showing you right now on I-40 near Jones Sausage Road, and we're going to give you the best traffic times, the worst traffic times, and the gas price averages locally and nationally as well. A lot going on today. A lot of people laboring on Labor Day, myself included. Thanks for joining us here on WRAL News on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood. We're going to start and talk about the weather, right? You probably heard that thunder last night wasn't awesome, disrupted my sleep. Chris Michael's here right now. I think you even lost a wink of sleep or two because of it.
I was about to say more like a wink or 7,000 because it was thundering at my house for a long time, but at least no thunder today, right? It's just some light rain as we give you a live look at Chapel Hill. Things moving along pretty smoothly so far this morning, but there you see that area of light rain in parts of Orange and Durham and Person counties. Also, as you go into North Wake County, just to the north and east of downtown, some of our heavier rain is over Hoke County, and it's moving into areas like Fayetteville. There's I-95, so if that's part of your commute this morning, just may have to factor in some extra time. Morning Planner shows that chance for showers, maybe some rumbles of thunder, especially as we get closer to midday. Temperatures, meanwhile, in the 70s. We're not quite as hot today. Highs do eventually get to about 81 to 83 for most of the area. Southern Pines, Clinton, you're at about 85 degrees, but this is a sign of a cool down. It's still going to be muggy today, but the humidity drops like a ton of bricks heading into Tuesday before coming back up later this week. Coming up, I'm going to show you which parts of the area drop into the 50s and when. It's coming up in just a bit, Chris.
All right, thank you, Chris. We are looking forward to a calmer weather day today. See this right here on your screen? Severe weather last night left this behind, flooding, right? Some cars were stuck in the high water on Glenwood Avenue near Ebenezer Church Road. And at RDU, flood water collected outside a terminal where people were getting onto shuttles. Flooding also caused a crash in Raleigh that injured 7 people. 2 of them were seriously injured. Part of Wake Forest Road was blocked off last night as police investigated this crash. We're talking about a total of 3 cars being involved in this, and one of those cars was crushed in the front and airbags were deployed. Police say they responded to several other weather-related calls yesterday. All right, look at this, a photo from a WRAL viewer. A car submerged in water yesterday. This was on Falls of Noose Road in Raleigh. Police just kept urging people to stay off the roads and not drive through floodwaters. Severe weather caused issues at RDU, as I mentioned there. You see right here this video of viewer sending us flooding outside a terminal. People getting on a shuttle had to step through water that was a few inches deep. Flight tracking website FlightAware says that RDU had 95 delays and 7 cancellations at one point yesterday. But this morning, we're seeing an improvement, 13 delays and 2 cancellations. And as I mentioned, today is Labor Day, which means summer travel season, it is coming to an end. Travel this Labor Day holiday is up 9% from last year, and it is going to be a busy day on the roads today. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from Kildare Farm Road in Cary. And Laura, we're seeing some slightly lower prices. That's good.
Jeff, good morning. AAA's morning report that came out earlier shows that prices here in North Carolina dropped once again. We're now looking at $3.11 here as the average price for regular gas. That's 20 cents cheaper than the national average. And good news for drivers since today is expected to be the busiest day on the roads. Millions of people hit the roads this weekend, getting in that one last trip before summer ends. It's been a record-breaking summer travel season in the skies and on the highways. The gas prices are anywhere from 35 to 40 cents cheaper than they were this time last year. And AAA tells us we could see prices hold steady during the fall.
For the rest of the season, I think it's going to be still busy. We'll see a little bit of a drop off right here after Labor Day. And then as temperatures drop and we get into the winter travel season, I think it's going to be busy as well.
And if you are heading home today by vehicle, well, what you really need to do is leave early. According to AAA, they're telling us that the worst time and the most busiest time on the roadways will be between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Cary.
Yourself time. Thanks, Laura. Now, here's a look at those average gas prices that AAA released about 4 hours ago. This morning, the average price nationwide, $3.33. In North Carolina, it's $3.11. And of course, you can find the lowest gas prices near you by searching Fuel Tracker on WRAL.com. When you visit a popular beach along the Neuse River for Labor Day, you'll see new warning signs there. There have been 4 drownings at Raleigh Beach since May. There have also been a number of water rescues. And the city recently put up signs in English and Spanish. The signs warn people of steep drops and fast currents. Keep that in mind. There's also a new gate at the beach's front entrance, preventing vehicles from driving down to that water there. The president and vice president will meet with the U.S. hostage deal negotiating team today. Anger is rising in Israel because of the discovery of 6 murdered hostages in a Gaza tunnel. An American citizen was among them. Hundreds of thousands of people protested across Israel yesterday because of this. Israel's largest labor union vowed a nationwide strike, and that is underway. American citizen Hirsch Goldberg Poland was among the hostages killed. Some hostages were to be freed in a ceasefire deal, and that has sparked new anger against Israel's prime minister for failing to secure their release. And that anger had a hand in bringing an international airport in Tel Aviv to a halt. We're talking about 2 hours this happened this morning, but operations have since resumed. The planned closure was part of that nationwide strike that I just mentioned. People are demanding a deal to release hostages held by Hamas. The closure could cause a ripple effect leading to travel disruptions in the Middle East this week. The World Health Organization fears polio might be spreading in Gaza. That's because of tests on wastewater sampled that turned up positive for the virus. Families lined up at the UN clinic in central Gaza yesterday for immunizations. They were able to do that because Israel and Hamas agreed to a brief pause in fighting. Immunization has declined since the war started. The UN hopes to vaccinate more than 600,000 children during a 3-day effort.
And Jeff, I'm going to the WRAL Life Center. Chris, to add to that, we are now in the 2nd day of that 3-day effort to get those polio vaccinations to the kids in and around Gaza. And yesterday was the little bit of a pause in the fighting that allowed them to get in and start those vaccinations. But that pause did not last long, and it ended with more Israeli strikes, killing 48 Palestinians in the last 24 hours across the Gaza Strip as they have continued to battle Hamas. The doctors, they're in a 2nd day there, those polio vaccinations for children. And UN officials said more than 80,000 children were vaccinated in Gaza, the central areas of Gaza, on the 1st day of the campaign. So as it continues now, and they're trying to get these kids this medicine, Hamas and Israel have agreed to those brief pauses in the fighting, but they've picked back up again, and they're hoping to vaccinate over those 600,000 children that you mentioned, Chris, but a long way to go in between the fighting, obviously.
Yeah, that's a long way to go. Thank you, Jeff. Hundreds of people gathered in New York City last night to honor the 6 hostages who were killed in Gaza.
Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home!
You can clearly hear the chanting there, "Bring them home." People waved Israeli flags and lit candles. The demonstrators expressed their heartbreak in this situation.
I think that October 7th changed history. That's what I think. And I think right now we have over 750 dead IDF boys, not to mention all of the dead people in Gaza. This is a nightmare. This is the worst day in my life, and I'm almost 80 years old.
People at the vigil are demanding a hostage release deal to bring the remaining hostages home. This week, North Carolina will be the first state in the country to send out absentee ballots for the 2024 election. The first ballots will be mailed out Friday. The voter registration deadline for the election is October 11th. Mark that down. In-person early voting starts October 17th and continues through November 2nd. The deadline to request an absentee ballot, that's October 29th. And of course, Election Day is November 5th. A Wilson man is charged with murder because police say he shot and killed his girlfriend at their home. Police arrested Arnold Farrell Saturday night. He's accused of shooting and killing Haley Barber. Neighbors say that he shot her through the door while she was on the porch. WRAL spoke with the man who called 911, but he did not want to be identified.
Like, why would he do it? I know it can't be Leo. Like, why would he do such a thing? But it never crossed my mind that he would do such a thing.
Farrell is being held without bond. St. Augustine's University students will now return to class tomorrow. The first day of fall semester was delayed by 2 weeks from August 19th to September 3rd. Interim President Marcus Burgess told WRAL the school expects to have around 200 students for the school year. That's only about a fifth of what the enrollment was just 2 years ago. The big drop comes as St. Aug's is facing a series of financial challenges as well as issues with its accreditation. The Paralympic triathlon, it was delayed by a day. And coming up, we're going to talk about the renewed concerns about bacteria levels in the River Seine. And young people could be a deciding factor in the 2024 election, and a big factor. What members of Gen Z are saying about their political involvement after the break.
And this morning, we're starting out with some showers as you see that moisture still over North Carolina, but the dry air, it's right on the doorstep. I'm going to show you guys when it arrives and when things will start to feel like early fall coming up.
Some breaking news we're following at this hour. Still looking at hazards around from last night's storms. WRAL's Nick Perlin is in the breaking news tracker on Millbrook Road. Nick, what are you seeing there right now? I think you've also heard about maybe some outages?
Chris, that's right. Roughly 250 customers in this area are without power, and that's because you can see behind me there's a large tree blocking the road here. I'm going to get behind the camera and show you a little bit of this tree and just how large it is. The crews with Duke Energy are out here, and you can see the tree here. It's down and it's blocking the entire road. We have Raleigh Police as well as Duke Energy blocking this area of Lead Mine Road near Longwood Drive. And I'll tell you, at one point, roughly 900 customers were without power, but crews with Duke Energy have made steady progress here. They actually just recently got a large branch off of those power lines up there, so they are making progress to restore power to customers in this area. Still some more work to be done, obviously, but we'll stay on top of the work, and once all the power is restored, we'll be sure to update you, and we'll be sure to monitor power outages throughout the day because of the weather that we're continuing to see this morning. Reporting live in Raleigh, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Nick showing us that obviously the rain from last night saturating the ground, bringing trees down. Wind definitely doesn't help at all. We've got meteorologist Chris Michaels here. Chris, when we see that, the situation with that downed tree, are we going to see similar conditions today?
The hope is that we won't. And most of the rain that we're seeing is fairly light, but also what you saw in Nick's shot was some of the standing water in that low water crossing. That's something you may have to watch out for just because, especially in Wake County, we've seen 2 to 4 inches of rain within the last 24 hours. Live look from the Tall Tower Cam in the southeastern part of the county. Right now we're in the 70s, dew points in the 70s. It's muggy, and that's what's allowing these showers to continue developing. You see that over portions of Wake County, areas like Holly Springs up through Apex along Highway 55. Pretty steady rain in Orange County, right along I-40. Be careful if you're going either between Durham and Orange counties. Still some steady rain moving from Wilson County just east of Rocky Mount, and some heavier rain now approaching Fayetteville and areas like I-95 in Cumberland County. Futurecast doing a pretty good job here nailing down the location of these showers. Maybe a rumble of thunder south of the triangle heading into the early afternoon. By 3 p.m., most of our rain is light and continuing to drift off toward the south. This is as some drier air that I was showing you before the break finally starts to make it into central North Carolina. That's especially something that's going to be felt as we head into the nighttime hours. Here's the hour by hour for your Labor Day. Temperatures slowly climbing at a snail's pace. We're not reaching the 90s today. Ain't happening. High temperatures in the lower 80s for most of us. As we settle into the evening, your storm chances coming down. Let's show you the muggy meter here as we head toward 8 p.m. Still fairly muggy, dew points upper 60s to near 70. But this is a thing of beauty as we put things through time. First thing tomorrow morning when you're checking in with us on Fox 50, it's going to feel a lot better. When dew points are in the low 50s, that's kind of that refreshing air. Something that we look forward to for much of the day on Tuesday. It's going to allow temperatures to drop into the lower 60s first thing tomorrow morning. Rocky Mount at 64. Then comes Wednesday morning. It's an early fall feel with Roxborough at 52, Fayetteville 61, Raleigh and Durham in the upper 50s. Not going to last terribly long. That tropical moisture makes a comeback to the area as we head late week into the weekend, eventually bringing some higher rain chances. But at no point in time over the next 7 days do you see that 90-degree heat. So for those of you who've been wanting a break from that, you've got it, and it's an extended one. We'll keep tabs on those rain chances later this week and update you with the hour-by-hour timing as we get closer to Friday and Saturday, Chris.
Me, I want to break from that, Chris.
Yeah.
Time is 8:17. You know, rain led to organizers ending the African American Cultural Festival in downtown Raleigh early. When the downpour started yesterday afternoon, people had to get their umbrellas out, had to get their ponchos out. Vendors even protected their merchandise because of this. May have been a wet ending to the festival, but we're talking about thousands of people attending this two-day event. This morning, the Paralympic triathlon events are happening in Paris. They had to be delayed because of the water quality in the River Seine. Rainstorms that hit Paris on Friday and Saturday caused wastewater to run off into the river, and that caused a rise in bacteria levels. We're talking about E. coli. The same concerns forced a delay of the men's triathlon during the Olympics last month. A vigil was held last night in Jerusalem. This honored the memory of Hirsch Goldberg Poland. He was one of 6 hostages killed by Hamas. Dozens of people prayed together and sang the Israeli national anthem as they remembered Poland. Some people talked about the last time they saw him before he left for the festival where he was kidnapped.
Hirsch grew up here. The last night that we celebrated with him was the holiday of Simchat Torah, the evening before he went to the Nova Festival, and he was dancing on this floor right here the night before he left. And that's the last that all of the congregation saw him.
During an address yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Israel will hold Hamas responsible for the deaths of the hostages, and he also blamed them for the stalled negotiations. Young voters are among the key groups that could have a great impact on the upcoming election. Alice Barr spoke with several of these voters and tells us how they're thinking about this election season.
In the final 2 months before Election Day, a campaign transformed by a new Democratic nominee, seeing a swell of interest among young voters.
Young people aren't here to throw their hands up, walk away, and let an 80-year-old make decisions for them. I think that became clear. Well, now we've got new candidates. We've got a new hope.
We spoke to Parker Short at the Democratic National Convention, the Young Democrats of Georgia president who went viral for his Harris rally dance moves, believes an energized youth vote will be decisive.
I'm excited to protect the climate. I'm excited to restore abortion rights in Georgia.
But protests against the war in Gaza outside showcased a key vulnerability among young voters. And Northwestern University student organizer Amani Billups says it's not the only one.
Young people don't feel like our government works for them. Most of us are like, we're probably not going to own homes, you know?
As former President Trump seeks to tap into that discontent, supporters at the Republican National Convention noted a shift among Generation Z men.
The more informed that they become, especially when it comes to their pocketbook, they become more conservative.
New York Times Siena College polls conducted in 6 swing states in August suggest young men aged 18 to 29 favor former President Trump by 13 points, while Vice President Harris had a 38-point advantage among women of the same age in those states: Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada.
I think it is hard sometimes to say I am conservative and I like President Trump because we get so much hate.
Policies over personality. It's the great opportunity party.
Amani Billups believes the former president's rhetoric turns off many young voters and that economic concerns won't change that. His worry is turnout.
The reason you should get engaged is just for your community. It is for the people you care about. It's even for communities that you aren't a part of.
Urging politicians to listen to the new generation with a growing share of voting power.
That was Alice Barr with that story. China and the Philippines are blaming each other for a crash between the 2 Coast Guard ships in the South China Sea. The crash is the latest tension that's been shown over the disputed waters. Each country says the other's ship intentionally rammed theirs. Workers at Boeing are on the verge of a major strike. The company's contract with about 32,000 union workers, that expires September 12th. A union leader says Boeing and workers are far apart on all of the main issues. We're talking about wages, we're talking about health care, retirement, and time off. Boeing says it will continue to bargain with the union and is confident a deal can be reached. This is happening as the company is facing other challenges, such as fatal crashes and design flaws. Thousands of hotel workers are on the picket line today. Workers from Hyatt, Marriott, and Hilton Hotels says that they are fighting for higher wages there, something they've been looking at for a while. The strike is expected to last up to 3 days, and they say the hotel chains made major cuts to services and staff during the COVID-19 pandemic. But now travel has rebounded, and workers say hotels are understaffed and they are underpaid. A Wake Forest teenager who received a traumatic brain injury is getting treatment in Chicago. John Walter's family shared that he is there for rehab at Shirley Ryan Hospital. He was injured just days after graduating from high school. He fell from the back of a pickup truck. WRAL brought you that story. In a post on Walter's Caring Bridge site, his father says the rehab facility has a golf simulator, and John Walter will come back a better golfer than before his accident. Hope he heals up. There are some stores that are closed in the observation of Labor Day. We'll run you through them there after the break.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
The time is 8:26 on this Labor Day. I'm Chris Levingood here on WRAL News and Fox 50. Here is meteorologist Chris Michaels to get you started with weather.
Good morning to you. As we're starting to keep an eye on RDU, we've seen things fairly smoothly, but the rain is coming down out there. You got some low clouds, so keep an eye on your flight status. If it's delayed, you can check on WRAL.com. Meanwhile, 10 o'clock this morning, looking at those showers mainly near and to the south of I-40. Futurecast kind of overdoing the intensity a little bit, but showers continue to move south of the area as we head into the evening. I'll show you when lower humidity arrives and when we'll see morning temperatures in the 50s over on Fox 50 in just a few.
Flash flooding caused a crash in Raleigh that injured 7 people. 2 of them were seriously injured. Part of Wake Forest Road was blocked off last night as police investigated the crash. It involved 3 vehicles in total. One of the cars was crushed in the front and airbags were deployed. Police say they responded to several other weather-related calls yesterday. Labor Day travel will wrap up today. It'll be the busiest day on the roads. It'll be a record-breaking summer travel season in the skies and on the highways. AAA's morning report shows North Carolina's average price for gas dropped $3.10, which is 20 cents cheaper than the national average. AAA also says holiday traffic will be the heaviest between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. today. And WRAL is following breaking news unfolding in Raleigh. What you're seeing here on your screen right now, these are live images at a closed Millbrook Road near Lead Mine Road. Crews are working to remove a downed tree that took out power for several people in that area. Power is still out for about 250 homes. But of course, we are continuing to keep you updated on the effort with another report coming up soon. Next on Fox 50, a Wilson man is being charged with murdering his girlfriend.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Labor Day starting out pretty damp, but it's a cooler pattern on the way. In fact, in the 7-day, I don't have a single 90-degree temperature. I'll show you what's causing that change and if it lasts beyond the next 7 days coming up.
And 7 people were hurt during a multi-vehicle crash in Raleigh. We are taking you to where that happened and other weather-related crashes during last night's severe weather. Plus, we're giving you a look at gas prices for anyone driving back from a long weekend. Everything you need to know, that's for a safe and affordable end to the summer travel season. Thanks for joining us here this morning on WRAL News and Fox 50. I'm Chris Levingood. A lot to get to. Got to talk about those storms last night. Really hope they don't come back again today. Meteorologist Chris Michaels is there. We both lost a little sleep last night because of that.
I think a lot of folks joining us this morning, Chris, are in that same boat. And Fayetteville, we gave you a live look outside of the news station there. We also have reports just off of Ramsey Street where there's some closures due to flooding there. We just sent that out on the WRAL app. But there you see in Cumberland County, some of that steady rain approaching I-95. That's going to start to move into Sampson County within the next hour or so. Wake County is going to start to see some of that steadier, more widespread rain coming in out of Chatham, Orange, and Durham counties. You also see that in areas like Oxford. Most of the rain we see today is going to stay south of I-40. There's some of your drier air in the Orange. It's going to take some time before it gets here, but once it does, it's going to feel so much better. Still warm today, not nearly as hot as yesterday. High temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Still humid as we go throughout the day today, but that'll start to change late tonight into tomorrow morning. We get a brief break in the humidity before it's back and leading to storm chances later this week. But before we get there, I'll show you when and where we see temps dropping into the 50s coming up.
Thank you, Chris. We do want to get back to that breaking news story unfolding right now. 250 homes are missing power in Raleigh because of a downed tree on Millbrook Road. That's where we find Nick Perlin in the WRAL breaking news tracker. Nick, any improvement at all? I can see it's still pretty active there down the road from you.
Yeah, Chris, you can see right there behind me, Duke Energy, I will say, has continued to make more progress removing that big tree off of those power lines, which has knocked power out for many people in this area early this morning. I'll get behind the camera one more time, and I want to show you some more of the improvement. As I zoom the camera in, you can still see here that tree there laid out across the road here. This is on Lead Mine near Longwood, near Millbrook Road. And at one point, Chris, we know around 900 customers in this area were without power. Now, Duke Energy, again, has made some improvements here. We're only seeing about 250 customers without power, but still some work to be done and a lot more concerns for more down trees as the day continues. As you can see, it's raining where I am right now, and we had severe weather last night. So we'll continue to monitor not just this outage, but any more down trees that could cause power outages across the triangle. We'll be on top of that all morning. Reporting live in Raleigh, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
And flooding caused a crash in Raleigh that injured 7 people, and 2 of them were seriously injured. Look at this damage here. Part of Wake Forest Road was blocked off last night as police investigated this crash. It involved 3 cars in total, and one of the vehicles was crushed in the front and airbags were deployed. Police say they responded to several other weather-related calls yesterday. In fact, floods are causing some dangerous travel for drivers on Highway 70. It did at one point anyway. This is flooding you're seeing near Ebenezer Church Road. Some cars tried to turn around and got stuck in the high water. In the summer travel season, it's wrapping up as people across the nation celebrate Labor Day. This travel period has been a record-breaking one. And as WRAL's Laura Levine shares, experts say we can expect to see low gas prices through the fall.
Labor Day travel will wrap up today with all of those people hitting the road and making stops at gas stations like this. Good news for those drivers. Gas prices are anywhere from 35 to 40 cents cheaper than they were this time last year. Millions of people were on the road this weekend, getting in one last trip this summer during the long holiday break. And it's been a record-breaking summer travel season in the skies and on the highways. AAA's morning report shows North Carolina's average price for regular gas dropped again at $3.11. That's 20 cents cheaper than the national average.
As demand goes up, prices tend to follow. I don't think we're going to see a huge spike or anything. That's barring any kind of natural disaster, a hurricane. That would be the only thing that would cause it to have a huge spike. But we're looking pretty good for us to be paying the cheapest we have for this holiday in the last 2 to 3 years.
And if you are among those hitting the roads today to head home, AAA says the earlier you leave, the better, because the busiest time on the roads will be between 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Cary.
So businesses are keeping their doors open as you celebrate Labor Day today. Most Walmart and Target locations will be open, with store hours varying by location. Then you have clothing stores including TJ Maxx, Macy's, and JCPenney open during regular hours. However, Gap and Old Navy, they will have some varying holiday hours depending on the location. Costco says that its warehouses will be closed today. And today, the president and vice president will meet with the U.S. hostage deal negotiating team. This will happen as anger is rising in Israel, and that is because of the discovery of 6 murdered hostages in a Gaza tunnel, including an American citizen. Israel's largest labor union vowed a nationwide general strike, and that is underway. Israel's military says it found the hostage's body in an underground tunnel in Gaza, and among them was American citizen Hirsch Goldberg Poland. Forensic evidence indicates they had been killed less than 3 days before they were discovered, and 3 of the hostages were scheduled to be returned in a ceasefire deal. And because of that, a new anger wave has been sparked against Israel's prime minister for failing to secure their release. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the next few days of hostage negotiations, they are going to be so critical. And the goal is to free 101 hostages still being held by Hamas. Sullivan spoke with the families of American hostages in Gaza in a virtual meeting yesterday. 7 Americans are still being held by Hamas. Their families say that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu needs to close the deal with Hamas and bring them home. Meanwhile, the Jewish community in our area is devastated after learning about the discovery of the bodies of those 6 hostages. We spoke with Beth Meyer Synagogue Rabbi Eric Solomon. He says this is a nightmare for the community.
We are devastated. It's truly hard to breathe. These hostages were executed, it appears, and this is our absolute worst nightmare. It has been a nightmare since October 7th, and this only adds to it. It includes an American citizen who I have a connection through many friends personally, and we are just devastated.
Solomon and others are worried about Chapel Hill native Keith Siegel, who, as far as we know, is still alive and still being held hostage by Hamas. The terrorist group released a video of him back in April.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, Jeff Hogan here. I want to take you to live pictures in Jerusalem right now where the funeral for Hirsch Goldberg Solomon is about to take place. Poland, I should say. About to take place here. This is a live look right now. The funeral procession is making its way. It's right at the top of the hour. In about 22 minutes from now is when that funeral is going to take place in Jerusalem. And Goldberg Poland, among the 5 others who were found shot and killed in that tunnel in Gaza, reportedly as Israeli forces moved in. He was 23 years old. He was taken from that music festival October 7th last year. And among those 6 hostages found, we saw that video just a few seconds ago, it prompted 500,000 people to take to the streets in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv in protest of this, all as pressure mounts on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach that ceasefire deal with Hamas. But the funeral procession lining up there, there are thousands of people there. I've been watching these live pictures of this funeral coming in here, this video, and there are thousands of people as it has given us a wider look. At some points, it's pushed in now to a tighter shot as that funeral procession moves in to get started at 9 a.m.
And an event is happening today for the UNC fraternity students who held the American flag during protests this spring. A GoFundMe to hold flag stock, as it's called, for the students raised more than $500,000. It's being described as a, quote, epic rager. Country singer John Rich helped organize this event, and he will be one of several performers, including Lee Greenwood and Five for Fighting. Organizers are not publicizing the location of this event. They say they want to keep protesters away. The only information for the location they're revealing is that it'll be happening near Chapel Hill. A man is facing murder charges after police say that he shot and killed his girlfriend in Wilson County. Police say they found Haley Barber dead at their home on Camiella Court. That was on Saturday night. Officers say that Arnold Farrell was still there when they arrived. And WRAL spoke with a person who says they called 911. He didn't want to be identified, but told WRAL he was coming home from work when he saw what happened.
Like, why would he do it? I know it can't be Leo. Like, why would he do such a thing? But it never crossed my mind that he would do such a thing. A lot went through my mind, like, was it that bad, Leo, for you to do that to her? I mean, she was a nice girl.
Neighbors say Farrell shot Barber from inside the home through the door. Farrell is being held under no bond. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Biden will spend Labor Day in Pennsylvania, co-headlining an event there. They'll be attending Pittsburgh's Labor Day parade and offer some remarks. This is the first time the two have shared a speaking slot since Biden stepped away from his presidential campaign. And of course, Harris got the nomination from Democrats. Meanwhile, Harris's vice presidential nominee, Governor Tim Walz, is set to host labor leaders in St. Paul, Minnesota today. That's before traveling to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to deliver remarks at LaborFest 2024. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump, he'll be making a stop in North Carolina this week. He'll be in Charlotte specifically come Friday. He's going to be speaking at the fall meeting of the Fraternal Order of Police's National Board of Trustees. His visit comes as polls show the election between Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris is basically tied in North Carolina. Your time is 8:41. Investigators are working to learn more about a plane that crashed into a home in Oregon. We're going to bring you the details of that crash that displaced a family and left 3 people dead. Plus, Adele announced that she is taking a long-term break from music. What the singer said about her decision during a concert in Germany. That story just ahead. I know it's a little dark. I know it's a little hard to see, but this is, in fact, South Hill, Virginia, where it may even be gloomier there than it is in some parts that we're seeing here locally. Something we're watching carefully here as you're watching WRAL News here on Fox 50. Meteorologist Chris Michaels has a much nicer, not so gloomy photo behind that a nice weather watcher sent WRAL.
Exactly. Yeah, this was yesterday morning in Person County, and it's a stark difference from what we're waking up to this morning. But shout out to Dwayne Reeves, a great photographer in the area, for getting a great shot. Keep sharing your pictures through Weather Watchers for a chance to see them here on WRAL and Fox 50. 73, that's the name of the game in Durham, Raleigh, and Fayetteville. It is gloomy. It is damp. It's wet in parts of the area. In fact, in Fayetteville, we just sent out a push alert to the WRAL News app that there's some closures on Ramsey Street due to some flooding. That's where you see some of the heavier rain, and also around the Triangle, pretty steady rain. Big travel day today, so watch out those main interstates, I-40, I-540, 440, 85. Those could be taking on some water. Hydroplaning a potential concern for you. This front moving off toward the south as we go through the next several hours. So really by 12 p.m., most of your rain is going to be near and south of the Triangle. Then as we get closer to 4 or 5 p.m., some of this rain will start to shift farther to the south. Still some isolated downpours as you get into the Sandhills, but the general trend is for some drier air to come in from places like South Hill, Virginia, and provide some relief. So your hour-by-hour dew points, they're in the 60s this evening. That's still muggy. Keep in mind the dew point is a measure of your mugginess. So by first thing tomorrow morning, that's what I'm talking about. Once those are in the 50s, things are going to feel a lot better out there. So much so that by Wednesday morning in the high country, they'll be in the upper 40s. Raleigh 59, Rocky Mount 58 first thing Wednesday morning. It's a brief break in the humidity. We're back at it as we head later this week. Thursday evening, some hit or miss showers out of the east. Numerous showers on Friday. Could have some strong storms with that system Friday. We'll keep tabs on that. Saturday, keeping the chance for showers and storms around. Beyond that frontal system, back to below average temperatures. You see that across much of the eastern U.S. from September the 7th through September the 11th. So you'll notice in the 7-day forecast, I don't have a single 90-degree temperature. Last time that we had that for 7 days straight, you have to go back to May 27th to June the 3rd. Tuesday through Thursday, highs in the 70s, the coolest morning out of the next 7. That's Wednesday. But yeah, as we're heading back to school here, Chris, these next few mornings, bus stop weather, it looks to be very, very nice.
A lot of kids are happy about that. Thanks, Chris. All right, I want to show you this photo here. It's from a WRAL viewer. Notice this car submerged in water yesterday. This was on Falls of Neuse Road in Raleigh. Police urged people to stay off the roads and not drive through floodwaters because of situations just like that. The president and vice president say they were not invited to Arlington National Cemetery last week, and they are pushing back on claims made by allies of former President Donald Trump. The claim is that Biden and Harris ignored a request from Gold Star families. Former President Trump visited Arlington National Cemetery last week on the 3rd anniversary of the deaths of 13 service members. These were the ones who were withdrawn from Afghanistan. In a social media post on Saturday, Harris blasted this visit as a political stunt in a, quote, solemn place that is not the place for politics. Trump told Gold Star families invited him and asked him to take pictures with them at graves. New this morning, Russia targeted Kyiv with a barrage of drones and missiles overnight in Ukraine. That's according to Ukraine's army. The new attacks come on the first day of school for children across Ukraine. And it also comes a day after at least 30 people were injured in another Russian attack on Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russian forces attacked civilian infrastructure. Regional authorities say that a shopping mall and residential buildings were among the targets. An Ashe County deputy who helped rescue a missing and endangered child, received a national award. Master Deputy Patrick Houghton was recognized at the National Interdiction Conference held in California. Last year, Houghton made traffic stops on I-95 that saved a missing child, that is, from Coral Springs, Florida. The Raleigh Police Department held a ceremony to remember a detective killed in the line of duty more than 100 years ago. The Officer Down Memorial page says that Detective Tom Crabtree was shot and killed on September 1st, 1922. He had served with the department for 9 years. The ceremony held yesterday featured a wreath-laying ceremony and a speech from Police Chief Estella Patterson. Federal investigators are looking into a plane crash that left 3 people dead near Portland, Oregon. That crash started another fire that spread to other buildings nearby. This happened just before 10:30 Saturday morning. Video shows the moment when the plane crashed, sending a huge fireball into the sky. The fire jumped from home to home, and one person was killed in the fire. The pilot and the passenger of the plane, they died. Investigators say there was no Mayday call. The plane is being moved to a secure facility as 5 families in the neighborhood are now displaced. You're going to have to pay when you take Go Raleigh buses. That's the service that started collecting fares to ride again. All Go Raleigh single ride fares are $1.25 per person. People 18 and under and seniors 65 and over, they can still ride for free. Fares had to be suspended during March 2020, and that was because of the COVID-19 pandemic. New rental market data shows the median cost of one-bedroom apartments across 100 cities. Marketplace platform Zumper says that in a national rental report, wanting to live in some of America's top urban areas will cost you big on monthly rents. Zumper says New York City still holds the top median cost per month on one-bedroom apartments at $4,500 per month. Zumper says the median price of a one-bedroom nationally was more than $1,500 a month in August. That same report says renting a one-bedroom in Raleigh will cost about $1,260. Adele is taking on indefinite hiatus, and today is a milestone birthday for acting royalty. Here's David Daniel with today's Hollywood Minute.
Adele appears ready for some time off. The singer-songwriter just wrapped 10 shows in Munich, Germany, and she's due to resume her Las Vegas residency in October. After that, she told the audience in Munich, "I will not see you for an incredibly long time. I just need a rest. I have spent the last 7 years building a new life for myself, and I want to live it now."
Our little girl's growing up so fast.
Inside Out 2 keeps climbing the box office charts. The animated sequel has grossed more than $1.66 billion worldwide, taking it past 2019's The Lion King for 9th place on the all-time global list.
Oh, cool.
And happy 60th birthday to Keanu Reeves.
No way! Yes way!
He's come a long way since Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, starring in the Matrix trilogy and the John Wick franchise and dozens of other movies from Speed and Constantine to The Lake House and Sweet November. Whatever your favorite Keanu role, it's worth celebrating.
Party on, dudes!
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Selena Gomez had a big surprise for some of her young fans. She was in Colorado at Happens for a film festival this weekend. And when you know it, she spotted a handwritten sign from a high school volleyball team asking her to come to a game. Well, she showed up Saturday, and the players clearly were super hyped about that. The richest prize in golf belongs to Scottie Scheffler. The world's top player won the Tour Championship yesterday in Atlanta. Now, with this win, he secured the FedEx Cup and the $25 million prize that comes with it. That, of course, caps off a record-breaking year for him. He also won the Masters and, hey, even took home an Olympic gold medal. How about that? Caitlin Clark isn't the only WNBA rookie having a record-breaking season. We got to talk about Angel Reese. She now holds the league's single-season record for rebounds. She pulled down 19 rebounds yesterday for the Chicago Sky in their game against the Minnesota Lynx. Reese now has 418 rebounds on the season. She also scored 17 points for her 24th double-double in 32 games. And check this out, an annual parade in the Netherlands draws in visitors with its floral displays, and this year's parade is the largest flower parade in the world. 20 teams compete to build the best float, used thousands of dahlias to complete this mission. This year's floats include a dog, a robot, skeletons, and action figures. The first Dutch flower parade happened in 1936 in honor for the queen of that time. And before we go to break, a look at your lottery numbers.